welcome to NRI Pulse News with Namita. On Saturday, September 7th, a rally and canvas launch in Fulton County saw US Senator John Ossoff, Mayor Aftab Pureval and actor BD Wong join local leaders and the AANHPI community. In an exclusive with NRI Pulse, Ossoff and Pureval highlighted Georgia's pivotal role in the election and Kamala Harris's historic candidacy. Let's take a look at the event and hear from the leaders. On the morning of Saturday, September 7th in Fulton County, an unexpected and playful sight greeted attendees, a donkey and a goat, part of a light-hearted publicity stunt by the Democrats, which brought smiles and added a fun touch to the event. Excitement filled the air as a diverse crowd gathered for a rally and canvas launch aimed by mobilizing AANHPI, Asian American, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander voters ahead of the upcoming election. The hall was packed with supporters from across Georgia, representing a wide range of backgrounds. In the show, many expressed their support for the Kamala Harris's campaign in their native languages, including Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Vietnamese, Mandarin and Korean.
Something in different languages, and for those of you who know the language, you know what we're saying. So I'll start. सुप्रभात और स्वागत है। आज हम ये सुनिश्चित करना चाहते हैं कि हमारे समुदाय का प्रत्येक सदस्य अपने वोट की ताकत को समझे।
తెలుగు అందరికీ నమస్కారం। ఇవాళ మన ఓటు హక్కును ఓటు విలువను గుర్తుంచుకుందాము। మన ఓటు మన హక్కు। మనం అందరం కలిసి కమలా హ్యారిస్ ను అమెరికాకు ప్రెసిడెంట్ గా ఎన్నుకుందాం। థాంక్యూ।
ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದುಗೂಡಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಕಮಲಾ ಹ್ಯಾರಿಸ್ ಅವರು ಈ ದೇಶದ USA ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಆಗುವುದು ಖಂಡಿತ.
Yet another South Indian language, Malayalam from the extreme south of India. നമ്മുടെ വോട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ശക്തിയാണ്, നമ്മുടെ ആവേശമാണ്.
Our introduction in Vietnamese, I apologize, my Vietnamese is nowhere near as smooth as the previous speakers, but chúc mừng quý vị buổi sáng tiểu bang Georgia. So good morning Georgia.
I'm going to be speaking Mandarin Chinese. 各位朋友，早上好。我非常高兴能够见到这么多的华人代表这个社区来参加今天的活动。
카말라 해리스와 월드 부통령을 선출하기를 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
What we said in English, for those of you who don't speak any of those languages, is good morning and welcome. Today we want to ensure that every member of our community understands the power of their votes and that together we can work to elect Kamala Harris as the next President of the United States.
So if you will give a warm Georgia welcome to the first AAPI mayor in the state of Ohio, Mayor Aftab.
Throughout the event, US Senator John Ossoff, Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Pureval, actor and activist BD Wong, and local leaders took to the stage, delivering speeches that deeply resonated with the audience and the importance of voter turnout. The energy was palpable as each speaker connected with the crowd, inspiring a sense of urgency and purpose.
This community, our community, right now, in this moment, in this location, you have the future of the country in your hands. So I am here because we have to. Not that we must, not that we can, we have to win here. We have to turn out every single one of our AANHPI votes, get them fired up, get them registered, and turn them out to the polls on November 5th. That is your responsibility.
I'm happy to introduce our very special guest, Senator John Ossoff.
Hey guys! Good morning, Johns Creek. It is so good to see you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? It is such a pleasure and such an honor to be back in Johns Creek, to be back with so many of you. So by now, the whole nation has become accustomed to look at the Georgia to look into Georgia to make the decision about what kind of a country we're going to be, Representative Parker. What kind of a country we're going to be. And the choice in 58 days could not be clearer. The contrast could not be clearer. You have in former President Trump a man who has proven over and over again that he is fundamentally unfit for the highest office in the land. We cannot forget that this is a man who, when he lost, tried to steal his way to remain in power, who raised a violent mob that sacked the capital of the United States to try to prevent the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. This is a man who called up the highest election official in the state of Georgia and pressured and threatened him to, quote, find exactly the number of votes he needed to win in a state that he had lost. This is a man who, again, has proven to us that he is unfit for the presidency of the United States and that he is a threat to the rule of law and to our Constitution. We have, on the other hand, Vice President Kamala Harris, a determined, prepared, capable prosecutor, U.S. Senator, Vice President of the United States, who is ready to lead this nation toward the values that we in this room share.
My name is Sam Park. I have the honor of being the whip of the Georgia House Democratic Whip and the representative for District 107 in Gwinnett County. Tony Award-winning, Law and Order star, Democratic activist, BD Wong. Please join me in welcome.
I'm just so full of energy for you guys to go out there and do this. I'm so happy for you. This is an incredible time to be alive. It's an incredible time to be participating in this process, a process which maybe some of us would not necessarily be as motivated to participate in elections of the past. And so here we are, let's do this thing. When we fight, we love you, Georgia!
As the event concluded, all the leaders and the community members gathered on stage, joining together to cheer for the campaign.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, now on video, I need everybody on the camera to say, "Let's go, Georgia," on my count. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's go, Georgia!
Thank you, everybody.
U.S. Senator Ossoff then took time to meet with attendees, posing for photos with each member. In exclusive interviews with NRI Pulse, both Senator Ossoff and Mayor Pureval emphasized Georgia's pivotal role in the election, Kamala Harris's historic candidacy, and highlighting the importance of mobilizing the AANHPI community.
Senator, first of all, thank you so much for doing this for us.
Of course, my pleasure.
And tell us about this event and what are your expectations?
Well, this is a canvas launch, so we have hundreds of community members here in Johns Creek and from across the metro area who are fired up to go out and knock on doors and get out the vote to elect Kamala Harris, our next president, and to defeat Donald Trump's attempt at a comeback. Nothing more effective than when a neighbor is talking to a neighbor about the importance of an election, the importance of voting, and the qualities and qualifications of the candidate they support. And Georgia is the most competitive battleground state in the country, so this kind of work is absolutely essential. Let's just look at what we've achieved in the last few years. The bipartisan infrastructure law that's removing lead pipes from our drinking water systems. It's upgrading our transportation and logistics infrastructure. It's upgrading our airports and our seaports. The manufacturing incentives that we've passed that are bringing high-tech advanced renewable energy, semiconductor-related manufacturing to the state of Georgia. Vice President Harris has a vision for our country that is positive, that is open, that is optimistic. And she's running against former President Trump, who has a dark, who has a negative, who has a cynical view of our country's future. The contrast could not be clearer. It's every parent's unimaginable worst nightmare to get that call or that text message that there is a shooting ongoing at your little one's school. My heart goes out to the whole community in and around Winder. And I hope that this is a wake-up call for our state leaders here in Georgia, that we need public policies that protect our children.
So the news came that his own father gifted that gun to his son. What do you say about that?
Well, I don't know all the details of the ongoing law enforcement investigation, but these mass shootings, these school shootings happen far, far too often in the United States. And I hope this is a wake-up call for Georgia's state leaders about the need to do more to keep children safe. Well, I want to thank Georgia's Indian American community for the privilege of representing them. And I hope that Georgia's Indian American community has felt and knows that my goal is to be the most present, the most responsive, the most effective and accessible federal representative that Indian Americans in Georgia have ever had. And my office door is always open to the community.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you.
Well, look, I'm so thrilled that the Harris campaign asked me to come right to the center of the political universe, which is Gwinnett County, Atlanta, Georgia. This is so critically important for not just Vice President Harris's campaign, but really the future of this country. And, you know, I'm here as the first Asian American mayor in Cincinnati's history to come down and to energize the crowd, to do some door knocking myself, and to really reiterate what this community already knows, that Asian Americans are not just the margin of victory for the upcoming election, but they are in fact the whole election. And so turning out as many Asian Americans, South Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders that we can, and making a very clear contrast between the goals and priorities and values of the Harris campaign versus the misogyny, sexism, and racism of the Trump campaign is critically important, particularly for our community. I think it's an unimaginable tragedy, and it is entirely preventable. I reject this idea that Trump's team is saying that this is just a fact of life in this country. That is not true. This is a choice. It is a choice to put gun rights and access to guns above the right of our children to go to school and come home alive. The United States is the only industrialized country where this happens. Make no mistake, this is a choice, and you have a choice to vote for leaders who understand that, yes, we have a Second Amendment, but yes, we also need sensible gun reform so we can stop the madness of these mass shootings and the madness of citizens in this country being afraid to go to the movie theater or go down the block or go to a school. It has to stop, it can stop, and by electing Harris and Walz, we'll start to get on the path of sensible gun reform.
So, do this campaign, Harris and Walz, have any kind of idea or plans for gun violence?
Of course. In fact, just look at the Vice President's track record on this. As Attorney General, she cracked down on the importation of guns. She cracked down on the illegal use of guns, the violent use of guns. As a senator, she advocated for sensible gun reform. And as Vice President, she worked with President Biden to pass the most aggressive gun-sensible reform in the last couple of decades. She is exactly the kind of law enforcement prosecutor that we need to fight back against this violent crime. I think it's a really good question. What I am so inspired by the Vice President is the fact that she could become the first female president. But importantly, she could become the first Indian American president of either sex. That historic nature absolutely brings with it different perspectives, a different worldview, the ability to empathize and connect and have people of different backgrounds see themselves in her. I think that's incredibly powerful. As it relates to gun violence, though, beyond her sex, what I think is most relevant to that conversation is her track record and her professional experience as a prosecutor fighting violent crime, and as a strong leader, man or woman, fighting for sensible gun reform. I mean, that is the essence of why her leadership is so critically important, because it is not a fact of life that people have to live in fear of mass shootings. That is a choice. And we can also choose her to lead us out of that devastation. As a female president, she would absolutely have a different perspective, be able to more personally connect with the challenges that restriction of healthcare and abortion care, the devastating effect that has on women and girls. But again, just like gun violence, this is not a single-sex issue, abortion rights. This is an issue that even in my state of Ohio overwhelmingly voted to enshrine abortion rights in our Constitution. Ohio, a state that traditionally was a bellwether, but now is unfortunately very Republican. This idea that abortion rights is just a women's issue is not true. There are men and women, boys and girls who care very deeply about this issue, because it's about freedom and it's about access to a fundamental right, and that affects all of us irrespective of sex. I'm making no predictions. Obviously, there's incredible amounts of energy, optimism. You know, it's a completely different race, but this race will be incredibly close. And the reason I am here on a weekend is because I feel so passionately that we have to do everything that we possibly can, not to leave anything up to chance, but to do the hard work to make sure that we do create history together.
Do you want to say anything to Donald Trump and his team?
I don't.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.